So I have the bike apart and I have the original cluster taken off. It's pretty easy. So this thing actually just pops off. So to get the fuel tank closer, you actually only need to take off, I think it was not all the screws, but 3 of them. I mean, I guess you can take all of them off. It's not gonna do much. Yeah, as you can see, only 3 hold it. So I think it's 1, 2, and 3, and the other 3 hold the metal to the plastic. And then what I did is I unhooked one connector on the right side of the bike, and you just flip the bike around. I guess you can put the fuel cap back on, because what I did, instead of unplugging all that stuff down there, you just unhook it, or unhook that one connector right here, this sensor, and then you can actually pull it off. It's only 3 bolts, so 2 on the sides and then 1 up front, right there, and then you just unhook these 2 hoses. They're pretty loose in my opinion, but it is what it is. Got some other hosing here, which I actually could probably reroute, because this goes from my heated grips, the main wiring harness. I guess I can clean it up a bit, but we'll see. Oh, yeah, I guess I could. There's a connector right there. Why not? When in Rome. And the hardest part is getting this thing apart, because you have 10 different bolts. That's why I have it organized. So I have an aftermarket windscreen, which does not work with the instructions, I guess, but it's not that hard. But I have everything kind of organized. So you got to take apart the fairings, then the guardrails or brace, and then this piece right here has 2 bolts that hold this intact, but they're from the front. So if you look at the bike this way, they go in this way. Pain in the ass. You have to get a long Allen key to get in there. And then it's just a matter of getting that screen off. And then that's only like 3 bolts. And then once you get that off, it's just a matter of splitting this brace apart. And I already messed with it once, because my turn signals were buried all the way in there the first time around. So I had to take it apart to get to that one, well, at least one of them. So I think this time around it should be easier to put in. The hardest part is to repackage this area. So I think it's a plug and play system for the Veridian. So you just plug this in, and you plug the blue line in, and you got to reroute back up to your bar. So as soon as that's in, I'll put that in and maybe shoot another video. And then it's just putting everything back together. I think then you have to run one wire from the front of your bike to the rear here. It hooks up to your OBD2 port, but it's really the Euro 5, which has stuff on it. So if I take this off, I can actually show you. So your OBD2 port is that red connector right there. And then if you use the Veridian cruise control, that's what it's gonna take. So you have to route a wire from there up front and then follow the back. So I'm hoping to get this done by tomorrow. I'm hoping UPS doesn't screw me over and have it arrive. Oh, that's the bolt I was looking for. Something fell and I couldn't find it on the floor. Here we are, young boy. Okay, well, hopefully I can speed this part up. So we'll see. Hey guys, so update here. I think I got mostly figured out. I only had one issue with installing the harness for the Veridian Cruise. So handlebars installed. I'm about to mess around with this part until I get it in range. So it uses the OEM 890 controller or 790. I've yet to test it out. So similar to the original 390 here. So you take out the two Phillips, and then on the 390 there's a Phillips on the bottom here that's deep. On the 891 it's a T25. Just so you guys are aware, it's pretty easy. So that's that cruise control module up top here. So up front on this one there's 2 plugs, which are found here and here. So you have to route it down and nicely zip tie it here. This thing pops up and then you feed it through this hole. And then it comes with like a second cable. That's for your clutch actuator, I think. And then this is the module for the Veridian Cruise itself. So you have a wire that goes from here, follows back, and instead of running on this side and going through here, actually ran it, when you take the gas tank off or partially, I ran it across, and then it follows this side right here. and it goes bam, and it plugs into your Hero 5 connector, which translates to the OBD2 port connector here. So usually it's going to be back here. It's plugged into this little storage pin, so just unplugs there. So if you guys are trying to find your OBD2 port, you have to get an adapter from the Hero 5 to your regular OBD2. It's pretty easy, just a 6-pin connector, like $12 on Amazon. So it runs from here, bam, bam, bam. That's the hardest part, I think. Apart from taking this whole headlight apart. So when that's the part. It plugs into, it has a 4-pin that's always empty, I think. You just plug it into there, and then it has this 6-pin as a male and a female. And at first I thought it was going to be this black one, because there's a black, a red 6-pin, and I found that there's actually a clear one here. So I did it to the black one at first, because I thought it was that one. I didn't, in the pictures it's not highlighted, so if you look at the instructions, that's the issue. Because when you get to this step, there's like stuff that's highlighted here, but nothing on this side. I wish they had this highlighted or something, but it wasn't clear. So I did some digging through a different cruise control module system, and they kind of highlighted it a little better. That's kind of why I'm creating this video, to help you guys out if you guys could go ahead and install them. So it's going to be on your brake side of your bike, the clear 6-pin connector. It's already part of that harness part, so just right there. It's easy, just pop it off. You're pretty much adding the piggyback to it. Pretty much your harness is going to be all purple pin, so it's pretty easy. You just plug it into there, and then it goes into here. So that's your 2 connectors. And now the fun part is putting this headlight brace and everything back together. So I'm going to do a time lapse here of getting to this part, and then hopefully that's it, and it works fine, and I can go on my trip, because that's been holding me up at this point. But yeah, time for time lapse. Two headaches later. So what I would suggest you guys, before you get too far ahead on putting this back together when you're installing the system, is to make sure you go ahead and verify. What I did is I put the tank back on, which I probably shouldn't have, and then put this seat, just have it on. So make sure when you plug this in, you give it a test run, make sure that pin is lighting up green, or if you go to program the throttle, when you hit the -5 times, it starts flashing blue. Because I had put the headlight in and I went for a cruise and it wasn't turning on. I'm like, what the flip? I was getting just a red light there, solid red, which means it's not getting any info from here. For some reason, I talked to the guy from the company, and it seemed like it was a bad module or something, but I ended up just plugging and unplugging this a few times, and I'm guessing maybe one of the pins seated or something right now, and it works. I just went a little test drive. So it doesn't work in first gear, but I went into second, and it held like 20 miles an hour, and I went up to 25 and then back down to 20. But you can kind of see that bright light. So the easiest way to take a look at this without taking everything apart is just take your headlight out. It's a pain in the ass, kind of. You got to do a 1 bolt here. I didn't undo this. Maybe you can, just 1 bolt probably. But yeah, just to get that a little bit of clearance, and then you take the little shroud apart from there. So, but yeah, now it works. So I'm gonna finish putting this back together, and hopefully it all turns out great. So just a little update. Yeah, when the bike's off, it's gonna be red, and I was just getting red the whole time, whether it was the bike was on or off. Which didn't help, which means it doesn't do anything, or it's not getting signal. But yeah, maybe just had to sit there and wait for it to program for a minute. But hopefully that helps some of you guys out before you guys have to scratch your head too much times like I did. But and it is part of early adoption of technology, so there is caveats to it, I guess.